Hello YouTube, Dave here again. I am back with another Pathfinder 2nd edition related video. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Pathfinder character sheet pack. So this is a collection of various character sheets for use with the 2nd edition Pathfinder role-playing game. I do also have a copy of just the PDF character sheet that you can download for free off of the Paizo website, so we can do a little bit of comparison, see how the standard sheet, or the generic sheet I should say, matches up against the ones contained within this folder. I haven't opened it yet. The shrink wrap and everything is still on, but I suspect that the idea behind this particular product is to give you sheets that you can use to scan and make copies of, and I'll show you why I mean that here in a second. So let's just flip this over, and on the back we'll tilt this up. It says, record your glory. Create characters of legend and organize your most epic adventures with the Pathfinder character sheet pack. This package includes a folder to store character sheets with reference information such as game actions, a summary of crucial conditions, and the death and dying rolls, which is always useful to have some of this stuff here. So I'm interested to see exactly what they have inside the folder itself. A specialized character sheet for each class from the Pathfinder core rulebook with class actions and special actions already filled in. I'm also interested to see what that looks like and how far. It's probably just got the standard stuff, I would suggest. But I have been making a couple of characters in preparation for a character creation video, as well as I want to do sort of a test encounter with a party of adventurers versus a group of enemies. So I'm trying to make a few different characters that way as well. So trying to write in the abilities and stuff of the classes can be a bit time consuming. So I'm interested to see how much of that we have there. There's also one standard sheet for a character of any class, which is probably, again, similar to this one here. I also wonder if these are going to be black and white or if they're going to be the full color versions, because there is a colored version of this sheet as well, but I went with the black and white, mainly because I only have black ink left in my printer right now. And then there's also, it says here, expanded sheets to track character inventory, campaign notes, and spells, plus a specialized sheet for animal companions and alchemy books, which is missing from, of course, the standard stuff here. There's also a spot on the folder itself to write your name as well as your Pathfinder Society number. So if you're involved in the organized play that Paizo has, that they do for like Pathfinder, Starfinder, and even their adventure card game has like an organized play society thing. So having a spot to record your number for that is pretty handy to have as well. And the retail price for this product is $14.99 US. As a Canadian citizen with a dollar value that is less than the US dollar, I ended up paying $19.99, but I'm okay with that. I just want to kind of open this up and see again what we have. The description seemed pretty cool, and yeah, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. So we just got to cut open the plastic here, see if I can find a place to. Alright, so we've got the plastic off, so let's just go ahead and open this up. Alright, so first thing right off the bat, these are the full color sheets. So just for comparison, because I've had people ask what the difference is, so this is the full colored sheets, and so this is just the black and white one that I have here. Inside we also have some other information. I'm just going to pull the sheets out for now and just sort of set them aside. And we'll do some comparisons here in a moment. But on the inside of the folder, we've got some pretty useful information here. So we have the full list of basic actions, and if you want to go through and or if you just want to pause the video to read what they are, you can certainly do that. Specialty actions, hero points, and then you got your skill actions. So these are the things that you can do with each of the skills. And it also differentiates between if it's part of like your exploration, I don't want to say mode, but if you can use it while exploring, or if it's something that can be done during downtime. So things like perform, I think, earn income, yeah. So earn income is a downtime activity, and it also gives you the page references to where the complete explanations are in the core rulebook, so that's pretty handy to have there as well. On the other panel, or on the other side of the folder, we just have the Open Gaming license, as well as information about the Paizo staff, so just their list of staff members. And then on the flaps, I guess you can call them, you've got conditions, which is always great to have that information available to you. And you also have the death and dying information. So again, just some great stuff to have sort of at your fingertips, especially for players. Like as a game master, you probably have that information on your screen, but it is nice for the players to also have that information available to them. So let's just take a look at the sheets themselves. So it looks like this first one here is their generic sheet. So I do have the free PDF version here as well, so we can see if there's any differences between the two. So let's just go ahead and just want to see. Okay, so there we got the companion sheet there. So let's just go ahead and take a look. So the front page looks very similar. I don't really see any major differences, so I'll just sort of scan it here. So you got ability scores, armor class, saving throws, hit points, perception, all of your skills, melee weapon strikes, and range strikes, as well as your proficiencies. So that looks to be pretty much the exact same from one sheet to the next. You got your level and hero points up there as well. So the first page at least is the exact same. And then we'll just, I think these are, yeah, they're double-sided. So we'll move on to our second page. And the second page is where I actually see a difference. So on the free PDF you have ancestry feats and abilities, skill feats, general feats, class feats and abilities, bonus feats, and you have your inventory with worn items, readied items, other items, your coinage, and your bulk calculations. Here, on this second page, we have the feat section, so you have all those, ancestry, skill, general, bonus, and class, but instead of the inventory section, you have a spot for actions and activities, and free actions and reactions. So that's kind of interesting that they have that there. So let's move on to our third sheet. So our third sheet has, again, some differences. So we've got the personality information here as well, which includes things like your likes, dislikes, catchphrases, character sketch, campaign notes. This is where you have actions and activities and free actions and reactions. But on the sheet included in the folder, you have a larger section for your character sketch, as you can see. And you've got your personality stuff, party information, which is kind of cool to have, so you can actually write down what the other players' names are, what their characters are, any notes about the specific characters, campaign notes, so you can do like sort of bullet form, what date you sort of maybe took on a quest, if the quest is open or closed, if you finished it, more campaign notes over here, so you allies and locations, enemies and location, and organizations location, and then you have achievements. And this one I think is actually kind of cool. So you have highest damage dealt, highest check total, amount of times you died, most foes that you've in one battle, I guess just total, most gold pieces gained at once, farthest distance fallen, strongest foe defeated, and titles claimed. So that's pretty cool. And then on the back we have, this is where we have our equipment information, including a spot for each of the 10 items that you can potentially invest in. So that's typically done for magic items, and it gives you room to actually write some of the descriptions down, which is great. It's got your permanent items as well as your consumables, so you can actually break those out differently. Then you've got your coins, as well as stored money and where it's stored. So if you have some in like a bank or other location that's not on your character, it's kind of cool to have that. Gems and art objects, holdings and assets, and then you got supplies down here, which is pretty cool to have as well. So you have rations, water, ammunition, as well as for the rations and water, how many days worth you have for each. Rope, how many feet of rope you have total, and the amount of torches that you have on your character. and the bulk information there. So again, cool stuff on that one. And then we've got our spell sheet. So right off the bat, okay, this is double-sided and has more spell casting stuff on the back. So for the most part, it looks very similar, but there are some minor differences. Number one, you have, when you get into your spell descriptions, so on this side here, on the free sheet, you have your spell, if it's prepared, the actions that it requires, and then I guess the components. So material, somatic, or verbal. But on the sheet included in the character folder, you actually have the spells, so you got the spell level, a spot to write that down. Again, whether it's prepared or not, if it's heightened, and then you got the actions there as well, so that's pretty cool to have all of that. And then you have some other spell casting ability information, and then on the back you just have more room for the sheet, or for the spells, but there's a lot more room to write in what the spell does, even if it's just very, very point form, versus the sheet here. Not a lot of room to write in what the spells are. I did make a bard character for an upcoming video that I want to do. So all I could really do is write down just like the name of the spell and then its descriptors, and that was basically it. So having a bit more room to actually write down spell effects is something that I definitely appreciate. So it's cool to have that there. And then there's a spot for rituals. Alright, so that takes care of the standard sheet. And then we also have our companion sheet, so you can just write down the information that you have for whatever companion you have. So you have ability score modifiers, armor class, saving throws, their perception, hit points, skills, which is a smaller list obviously, other details, advancement, and some of the items that they have. And on the back, this looks like your alchemist book information. So you got like a section for formulas, the level of the formula, description of it, and the price, crafting information, money table. So this is probably how much it must cost you, I guess, for alchemy stuff. I haven't really read The Alchemist too much yet. That's one that I haven't really touched on too much. And then the crafting feats that you have, crafting achievements, and specific crafting notes. So pretty cool stuff there. And then we're going to move right into our specific class-specific character sheets. So I'm not going to go through and describe every single one. I'll go through and show just a few of them here, because once you're going to get the idea of what's included on these sheets, I would say, as I start going through them. So let's just start with the alchemist, and we'll just go through a couple of those things there. So, taking a look at the alchemist sheet, you've got, again, just your standard ability score information, but you've got the alchemist symbol there, which is pretty cool. And it fills in on this front page, it fills in all the proficiencies, so it already shades in everything that you're proficient with. So if you're an alchemist, you're trained in unarmored and light armor, as well as your saving throws. You're an expert in fortitude and reflex, you're trained in will, trained in perception, and then down here we have simple weapons. You're proficient in simple weapons, unarmed, and the alchemical bomb, which is pretty cool. And then on the back of the sheet, you've got a section for all of your feats, but it fills in things like your alchemy ability. So it fills that in completely for you, so you have the description of how that works right at your fingertips. And then for your class features and abilities, it just gives you all of the features that you get, that all alchemists would gain. So if there's choices that you can make, for example, it leaves like a blank line to put in your information there. But in general, if there's a class feature that's shared regardless of what flavor of character I guess you make from that class, it's all going to be on the sheet, which is pretty cool. So I'll just sort of scan through this, and if you want to pause, you can certainly do that. So that's what we have there for that one. And let's just look at let's just look at 2 more here. And if you want me to go through and show all the other character sheets, let me know, and I can sort of do that as a separate video. But let's just take a look at the Barbarian here next. So again, we got our training information, our proficiencies already shaded in, which is great. We also have the automatic skill that the class gets filled in as well. Weapon information down here, your class DC information already shaded in as well. And then on the back we've got the Rage ability, as well as the Mighty Rage, which you don't get right away, but there is the level that you gain it at, so it's listed here as 11th level, and a little box that you can just sort of shade in once you reach that point, which is pretty cool. And then you got the Quick Rage here as well, so it gives you that information. And once again, so you got your Rage, your Instinct ability, which is a choice, so you've got a room to fill that in. And then you've just got all of the guaranteed class features that all Barbarians get. And that's, like I said, it's going to be the same throughout all of the other classes. So like I said, I'm not gonna go through every single sheet right now, but there is one last one that I do actually want to look at. And that is the Cleric, because I did make this observation on my Facebook page, but I don't think I talked about it in video yet. So one of the things that I do like in Pathfinder 2nd Edition are the different varieties that you have within each of the classes. And so with Clerics in particular, one of the things that I really like about it is there's 2 different types of Clerics available for you to play sort of out of the gate. So one of the things, so when I mention the class Cleric, what usually comes to mind is the armored, sort of like the holy warrior type of thing. So they can wear like the heavier armor, they use shields, they're proficient in a wider variety of types of weapons. So that's what you think of when you think of Clerics. It becomes a little bit problematic though, because you also have the fact that most of the clergy that you would find in an actual temple usually don't have, they're always living sort of a life of study and not necessarily contemplation, but there's no reason for them to have the armor training, to have the weapon training that the traditional cleric has. When you sort of think about what the traditional cleric is. In this version of the game, if you take a look at the cleric page, they're only trained in unarmored armor by default. And the reason for that is the clerics have what are referred to as doctrines that they follow. And that sort of dictates how the cleric, what their training was, what their upbringing was, and what their focus is on. So if you want to play a cleric like the traditional cleric that we think of, with the armor and the weapons and stuff like that, then you want to be the war priest. And we'll just sort of go in the back here, because I think there is a room for it. Yeah, here we go. So we've got the war priest, which gives you the ability to be trained in light and medium armor, expert in fortitude saves. You get the shield block general feat, and if the deity's favorite weapon is a simple weapon, then you gain the deadly simplicity feat. However, if you want to be like the version of the cleric that focuses more on studies and spellcasting, then you want to be the cloistered cleric. So the cloistered cleric gains the domain initiate feat, but they never gain the armor training that the war priest gains, at least not without spending other feats to do so. But what's cool about this is, again, as you level up, the different doctrines will give you different things. So, for example, the cloistered cleric gains expert fortitude at 2nd level, and the war priest becomes trained in martial weapons at 2nd level. Going to 4th level, the 3rd doctrine, so the cloistered clerics gain expert spell attack rolls and spell DC. War priests gain expert proficiency in simple, their favorite weapon, and unarmed. And then for the 4th doctrine at 6th level, or sorry, 11th level, I'm looking at the wrong levels here. So let me just roll that back a little bit. So it's 3rd level, because the level's over here. I was looking at the spells, unfortunately. I guess it's the drawback of looking at this through the viewfinder. So, but anyway, so at 3rd level you get the 2nd Doctrine, at 7th level you get the 3rd Doctrine, and at 11th level you get the 4th one, which if you're cloistered, you gain expert proficiency in your favorite weapon, as well as some specialization stuff for using it. And when using your spell DC, the War Priest gain expert spell attacks. So the Cloistered Cleric becomes an expert in spell attack rolls back at 7th level, versus the War Priest not gaining until 11th level. And then your 5th Doctrine at 15th level, so the Cloistered Cleric becomes a master at spell attack rolls and the DC, and the War Priest becomes a master of the for Fortitude, and successes on any Fortitude saves are considered a critical success. And then at 19th level you get the final Doctrine, where the Cloistered Cleric becomes a legendary spellcaster, so they get legendary proficiency for their spells and DCs. And the War Priest only gains master proficiency at spells and the spell attacks and DCs at 19th. So they never get to reach the legendary status, and it takes them way longer to become an expert and then master spellcasters. So that's sort of the trade-off. If you want to be more like combat oriented in terms of getting in there and having high defense and weapon attacks, then you want to be the War Priest. But if you want to focus on casting divine spells, then you want to be the cloistered version. So just kind of cool that they have that ability, which is something that I really do like. So anyway, like I said, I'm not going to go through and show every single sheet because they all pretty much have those same things. So just to recap, they have what the basic proficiencies are for the class already filled in for you on the sheets. Any skills that you get automatically are filled in for you. Perceptions filled in for you. Your weapon proficiencies, all that stuff is already sort of shaded in at the level that you start off with as a first level character. And then each of these class sheets also gives you the description of all of the standard abilities that all members of that class get, or if it's a choice between 1 or 2 options, it'll sort of give you a little bit of information on each of those as well. But if it's completely different, if what you choose gives you completely different abilities and not just like a very simple this or that, then it just leaves the spot blank for you to fill in yourself, which again is totally fine. So overall, I actually really like this character sheet, the character sheet pack. Again, the idea behind it is you want to use it as sort of just a list of sheets that you have access to and that you photocopy. So you copy them off, you scan them, you print them off, additional copies, and you have all that information already taken care of for you. Honestly, I kind of like that idea more than having just several different varieties of the exact same character sheet. So having it sort of tailored, a sheet tailored to each of the classes, is something that I really do appreciate. This item is also available as a PDF purchase as well. So if you don't necessarily want to have the physical product, you can still purchase the PDF for it online as well at paizo.com/Pathfinder. So that is also an option that's available to you. But like I said, overall, I actually really like this product. I'm glad that I picked it up, and I do plan on photocopying these and using the class-specific sheets for an upcoming Pathfinder 2nd Edition game that I'm hoping to run very, very soon. So anyway, in the comments below, first of all, I just want to thank everyone for watching, but in the comments below, let me know if you've picked up the character sheet pack yourself, if you've used the sheets contained within, and what your thoughts are on those, or if you picked up the PDF. Let me know that as well, because I like to sort of know if you want the physical item or if you just want access to the information in digital form, because PDFs are becoming more and more popular as time goes on, I guess. So I'd like to know sort of what your thoughts are if you've already picked up either the physical or digital version of this. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you do want to see all of the individual sheets, let me know and I can do a separate video and just go through and show all of them. But I didn't want to bog down too much of the video showing the same thing with just the different class abilities substituted in for one another. Anyway, once again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Take care.